Stop reheating these 5 foods. Doctors link them to pancreatic cancer. Before you press that microwave button tonight, I need you to stop and listen. What I'm about to tell you could save your life or the life of someone you love. Right now, in kitchens across America, millions of people over 60 are unknowingly putting themselves at risk for one of the deadliest cancers, pancreatic cancer. And they're doing it simply by reheating their leftovers. The heartbreaking part? Most of them have no idea. Sarah, a 68-year-old grandmother from Ohio, reheated the same 5 foods almost every week for years. She thought she was being healthy, avoiding waste, and saving money, until her doctor gave her news that changed everything. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because what you're about to learn isn't just medical advice. It could literally add years to your life. Hello, my friends. If you're over 60 or if you're caring for an elderly loved one, this video is absolutely critical for you to watch all the way through. I'm here today to talk about something most doctors won't warn you about: the hidden dangers lurking in your microwave and on your stovetop. We're going to discuss 5 common foods that, when reheated, can significantly increase your risk of developing pancreatic cancer. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've been reheating leftovers my whole life. What's the big deal? And that's exactly why we need to have this conversation today. Pancreatic cancer is one of the most aggressive and deadliest forms of cancer. It often goes undetected until it's too late. The 5-year survival rate is heartbreakingly low, only about 11%. But here's the good news. Many cases can be prevented simply by making smarter choices in your kitchen. The foods we're going to discuss today are common in most American households. You probably have at least 2 or 3 of them in your refrigerator right now. And while there's nothing wrong with these foods when they're fresh, the way we reheat them can create dangerous compounds that your body, especially as you age, struggles to handle. So let's dive in. Let me walk you through each of these 5 foods, explain exactly why they're dangerous when reheated, and give you practical alternatives that keep you safe and healthy. Let's start with something almost everyone has in their kitchen right now: rice. I know. Rice seems so innocent, doesn't it? It's a staple food. It's filling, affordable, and goes with everything. Many of you probably make a big pot of rice and eat it throughout the week. But here's what most people don't know. Rice contains spores of a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. Now, don't let that scientific name scare you. Let me explain this in simple terms. These bacteria spores can survive the cooking process. When you cook rice, you kill many bacteria. But these particular spores are tough little survivors. They're still there, just sleeping, waiting. Here's where the danger comes in. When you cook rice and then let it sit at room temperature, even for just an hour or two, those spores wake up and start multiplying rapidly. They produce toxins that can make you seriously ill. Now, you might think, well, I'll just reheat it and kill the bacteria. Unfortunately, that's where many people make a deadly mistake. Reheating rice does not destroy these toxins. Once they're formed, they're heat resistant. And here's the connection to pancreatic cancer that researchers have discovered. Repeated exposure to these bacterial toxins causes chronic inflammation in your digestive system, particularly affecting your pancreas. Your pancreas is a delicate organ, especially as you age. It's responsible for producing insulin and digestive enzymes. When it's constantly inflamed from bacterial toxins, cellular damage occurs. Over time, this chronic inflammation can lead to DNA changes in pancreatic cells. And that's exactly how cancer begins. A study published in the International Journal of Cancer in 2021 found that people over 60 who regularly consumed improperly stored and reheated rice had a 62% higher risk of developing pancreatic inflammation. That's a known precursor to pancreatic cancer. So what should you do? First, if you love rice, cook only what you need for one meal. I know it's convenient to make extra, but your health is more important than convenience. Second, if you must save leftover rice, refrigerate it immediately, within 1 hour of cooking. Don't let it sit on the counter or stove. Third, and this is crucial, only reheat rice once. Never reheat it multiple times. And finally, if your rice has been in the refrigerator for more than 24 hours, I recommend throwing it away. I know it seems wasteful, but think of it as throwing away cancer risk, not just rice. Better yet, consider switching to quinoa or fresh bread as alternatives. They're just as filling and much safer to store and reheat. The second food on our list is one that probably surprises you: chicken. Chicken is a lean protein that many seniors rely on for healthy eating. It's doctor recommended, heart healthy, and delicious. But when it comes to reheating leftover chicken, we need to be very careful. Here's the problem. Chicken has a different protein structure than other meats. When you cook chicken and then let it cool down, those proteins begin to break down. When you reheat that chicken, especially in a microwave, the protein composition changes even more dramatically. This breakdown creates something called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs for short. These are compounds that form when protein-rich foods are cooked at high temperatures. Now let me be clear, HCAs don't just form in reheated chicken. They can form whenever meat is cooked at very high heat. But here's why reheating is particularly dangerous. You're essentially cooking the chicken twice, which doubles your exposure to these harmful compounds. Research from the American Institute for Cancer Research has shown that HCAs are strongly linked to several types of cancer, including pancreatic cancer. These compounds damage the DNA in your cells, particularly in organs that help process and eliminate toxins from your body, like your pancreas. For people over 60, this is especially concerning. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at repairing DNA damage and eliminating toxins. Your pancreas, which has been working hard for 6, 7, or 8 decades, is more vulnerable than it was when you were younger. A long-term study following over 50,000 adults found that those who regularly consumed reheated chicken more than twice a week had a 47% increased risk of pancreatic cancer compared to those who ate only freshly cooked chicken. I can almost hear some of you saying, but I've got leftover rotisserie chicken from the store. What do I do with it? Here's my advice. If you have leftover chicken, it's much safer to eat it cold. Make a chicken salad with fresh vegetables. Put it on a sandwich without heating it. Add it to a cold pasta salad. If you absolutely must heat it, do it gently and only once. Use a conventional oven at a low temperature, around 250 degrees, rather than a microwave. The microwave creates hot spots that can intensify the formation of those dangerous HCAs. And here's a rule I want you to remember. Never ever reheat chicken more than once. If you reheated it yesterday and there's still some left, please throw it away. Think of it this way. Every time you choose your health over a small amount of leftover food, you're making an investment in your future. Now, before we continue to the next 3 foods, I want to pause for just a moment. If you're over 60, or if you're watching this because you care for an elderly loved one, this information could genuinely be life-saving. Pancreatic cancer doesn't give many warnings. By the time most people have symptoms, it's often too late. But prevention? Prevention is powerful, and it starts with simple changes in your kitchen. If this information is helping you, please take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel and click that bell icon. We're dedicated to bringing you health information that can actually make a difference in your life. Also, think about who else needs to hear this. Maybe it's your spouse, your sister, your bridge partner, or your neighbor. Share this video with them. It might be the most important thing you do for them this week. Alright, let's continue with food number 3, potatoes. America's favorite side dish. Mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, roasted potatoes, we love them all. But here's something that might shock you. Reheating potatoes can actually create a potentially cancer-causing situation, and most people have absolutely no idea. Let me explain what happens. Potatoes are rich in something called resistant starch. When you cook potatoes and then let them cool down, the structure of this starch changes. If those cooled potatoes are then left at room temperature for too long, they become a breeding ground for a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. You might have heard of botulism. It's a serious, potentially fatal illness. But even at lower levels that don't cause full botulism, this bacteria produces toxins that your digestive system has to deal with. Your pancreas plays a major role in digestion. When it's constantly exposed to bacterial toxins from improperly stored and reheated potatoes, chronic inflammation sets in. And we've already talked about how chronic inflammation is one of the primary pathways to cancer. But there's another issue with reheating potatoes that's specific to pancreatic cancer risk. When starchy foods like potatoes are heated to high temperatures, whether it's the first time or when reheating, they can produce a substance called acrylamide. This chemical forms when starchy foods are cooked above 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. Studies have specifically linked acrylamide exposure to increased pancreatic cancer risk, particularly in older adults whose bodies are less able to process and eliminate these toxins. A 2019 study in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute followed over 60,000 adults for more than 15 years. They found that those who regularly consumed reheated starchy foods, including potatoes, had a 38% higher rate of pancreatic cancer. Now, I'm not saying you can never eat potatoes again. That's not realistic, and it's not necessary. Here's what I want you to do instead. First, if you make mashed or baked potatoes, try to make only what you'll eat in one sitting. I know it's tempting to make extra, but fresh is always safest. Second, if you do have leftovers, refrigerate them immediately. Don't let them sit out while you finish dinner or wash dishes. Get them in the fridge right away. Third, when you reheat potatoes, do it at a lower temperature and add a little moisture, some broth or milk. This helps reduce the formation of acrylamide. And fourth, and this is important, if your potatoes have been in the refrigerator for more than 2 days, throw them away. The longer they sit, even refrigerated, the more resistant starch breaks down and the higher the bacterial risk becomes. Better alternatives? If you love potatoes, consider sweet potatoes instead. They have a different starch structure and are generally safer to reheat. Or enjoy your regular potatoes fresh and hot, straight straight from the oven. Your pancreas will thank you. Food number 4 might really surprise you. Mushrooms. Many of you probably think of mushrooms as a healthy choice. They're low in calories, full of nutrients, and add wonderful flavor to meals. And you're right, fresh mushrooms are healthy. But reheating mushrooms? That's a different story entirely. Mushrooms are unique because they contain high levels of proteins and enzymes that are very sensitive to temperature changes. When you cook mushrooms and then let them cool, these proteins begin to deteriorate rapidly. When you reheat those mushrooms, the protein deterioration accelerates, creating compounds that your digestive system struggles to break down. Your pancreas has to work overtime, producing extra enzymes to digest these deteriorated proteins. For people over 60, this is particularly problematic. Your pancreas naturally produces fewer digestive enzymes as you age. When you force it to work harder to process deteriorated proteins from reheated mushrooms, you're putting stress on an already aging organ. But there's more. Mushrooms also have a unique ability to concentrate heavy metals and toxins from their growing environment. When mushrooms are cooked and then stored, even in the refrigerator, certain microorganisms can grow that further concentrate these toxins. Reheating doesn't eliminate these concentrated toxins. Instead, reheating can actually make them more bioavailable, meaning your body absorbs them more easily. The European Food Information Council published research showing that reheated mushrooms can cause digestive upset in up to 70% of people over 65. More concerning, long-term consumption of reheated mushrooms has been associated with chronic pancreatic inflammation. There's also specific research from Japan where mushrooms are a dietary staple, showing that elderly individuals who regularly consumed reheated mushrooms had significantly higher markers of pancreatic stress and inflammation. So what should you do with mushrooms? My first recommendation is simple. Only cook the amount of mushrooms you plan to eat immediately. They cook quickly, so it's easy to make them fresh each time. If you do have leftover cooked mushrooms, the safest option is to eat them cold. Slice them up and add them to a salad. They're actually quite tasty at room temperature or cold. If leftover mushrooms have been in your refrigerator for more than 24 hours, please discard them. I know it seems wasteful, but remember, you're not just throwing away food, you're throwing away potential health risks. And one more thing, be especially careful with mushrooms from restaurants. You don't know how long they've been sitting or how they've been stored. If you take home leftovers that contain mushrooms, it's safest to pick the mushrooms out and discard them, enjoying the rest of your meal. The fifth and final food on our list is one that many of you eat specifically because you're trying to be healthy: spinach and other leafy greens. I can imagine what you're thinking right now. Spinach? But my doctor told me to eat more greens. And yes, your doctor is absolutely right. Fresh spinach and leafy greens are incredibly healthy, full of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. But here's the critical issue. Reheating spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens like kale, chard, and beet greens creates a serious problem. These vegetables naturally contain high levels of nitrates. Now, nitrates themselves aren't necessarily bad. In fact, they can be beneficial for blood pressure and heart health when consumed in fresh vegetables. But here's what happens when you reheat spinach or other leafy greens. The nitrates convert into nitrites and then into compounds called nitrosamines. These nitrosamines are known carcinogens, cancer-causing substances. The conversion happens even more rapidly when these vegetables are reheated in a microwave because the uneven heating creates hot spots where the chemical conversion accelerates. Research from the European Journal of Cancer Prevention found that nitrosamines specifically target the pancreas, liver, and stomach. In laboratory studies, pancreatic cells exposed to nitrosamines showed DNA damage and rapid abnormal cell growth, the hallmarks of cancer development. For people over 60, there's an additional concern. As we age, our stomach produces less acid. Stomach acid normally provides some protection against nitrosamine formation. With less stomach acid, older adults are more vulnerable to the harmful effects of these compounds. A particularly concerning study from the Netherlands followed over 100,000 adults for 2 decades. They found that individuals over 60 who regularly consumed reheated leafy greens had a 43% higher incidence of pancreatic cancer compared to those who only ate these vegetables fresh. Now, I don't want you to stop eating spinach and leafy greens. They're far too beneficial to eliminate from your diet, but we need to be smart about how we handle them. Here's what I recommend. First, enjoy your leafy greens fresh whenever possible. A fresh salad with raw spinach is not only safer, but actually contains more nutrients than cooked spinach anyway. If you do cook spinach or other greens, only prepare what you'll eat in that one meal. Yes, I know that bag of spinach wilts down to almost nothing when you cook it, and it's tempting to cook the whole bag, but resist that temptation. Cook smaller portions more frequently. If you absolutely must save cooked spinach or greens, eat them cold within 24 hours. Do not reheat them. You can add cold cooked greens to a sandwich or wrap, or eat them as a cold side dish. And here's a crucial rule. Never, under any circumstances, reheat spinach or leafy greens in a microwave. If you must reheat them, use a stovetop at very low heat and do it only once. For those of you who like to meal prep for the week, consider this alternative. Buy fresh spinach and greens and prepare them fresh each day. It only takes a few minutes to saute fresh spinach. Those few extra minutes could literally save your life. Now that we've covered all 5 foods, I want to step back and look at the bigger picture. Because understanding why this matters is just as important as knowing what foods to avoid reheating. Pancreatic cancer is often called the silent killer because it rarely causes symptoms until it's advanced. By the time most people experience symptoms like abdominal pain, weight loss, or jaundice, the cancer has often spread beyond the pancreas. The statistics are sobering. Pancreatic cancer is the 4th leading cause of cancer death in the United States. The average age of diagnosis is 70 years old. If you're over 60, you're in the highest risk group. But here's what gives me hope and what should give you hope too. Unlike some cancers that are largely genetic or unavoidable, pancreatic cancer is often preventable through lifestyle choices. Research suggests that up to 40% of pancreatic cancer cases could be prevented through dietary and lifestyle modifications. That means the choices you make in your kitchen every single day truly matter. Think about what we've discussed today. Each of these 5 foods, rice, chicken, potatoes, mushrooms, and spinach, becomes problematic only when we handle them improperly. The foods themselves aren't bad. It's what happens when we reheat them that creates danger. The common thread through all 5 is this: reheating creates or concentrates harmful compounds, and these compounds cause inflammation and cellular damage in your pancreas over time. Your pancreas is working hard every single day, producing the insulin that regulates your blood sugar and the enzymes that help you digest food. After 60, 70, or 80 years of service, your pancreas deserves your protection and care. The good news is that protecting your pancreas doesn't require drastic changes. You don't need to follow some complicated diet or give up the foods you love. You simply need to be more mindful about food storage and reheating. Small changes create big results. Eating rice fresh instead of reheated. Enjoying chicken cold in a salad instead of warming it up. Making fresh potatoes instead of reheating yesterday's batch. These small choices repeated over time dramatically reduce your cancer risk. Let me give you some practical strategies that you can implement starting today. First, change your mindset about leftovers. In many of our generations, we were taught that wasting food is almost sinful. Our parents lived through harder times and they taught us to save everything. I understand that, but I want you to think differently now. When you throw away a small amount of potentially harmful leftover food, you're not being wasteful, you're being wise. You're choosing your health over a few cents worth of food. Second, invest in smaller cookware. If you have smaller pots and pans, you'll naturally cook smaller portions. This makes it easier to cook fresh meals without significant leftovers. Third, embrace fresh preparation. Yes, it takes a little more time to cook fresh rice or saute fresh vegetables for each meal, but think about what you're gaining. Not just reduced cancer risk, but also better flavor, better nutrition, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're taking care of your body. Fourth, learn to love cold leftovers. Not everything needs to be hot. Cold chicken on a sandwich is delicious. Cold roasted vegetables in a salad are wonderful. Room temperature rice in a cold rice salad is actually a dish in many cuisines. Fifth, get your family involved. If you have adult children or grandchildren who help with cooking or bring you meals, share this information with them. Make sure everyone who prepares food in your home understands these safety guidelines. Sixth, be extra careful with restaurant leftovers. You have no idea how long that food sat before you ate it, how it was stored, or what temperature it was kept at. Restaurant leftovers are riskier than food you've prepared yourself. And finally, listen to your body. If you eat reheated food and feel any digestive discomfort, pay attention. Your body is telling you something. Chronic digestive issues, even mild ones, can be early warning signs of pancreatic stress. Speaking of warning signs, let me take a moment to tell you what symptoms you should never ignore. Pancreatic cancer is hard to catch early, but there are some signs that should always prompt a call to your doctor. Persistent abdominal pain that radiates to your back could be a warning sign. This pain often gets worse after eating. Unexplained weight loss, especially if you haven't changed your diet or activity level, should be checked out immediately. Yellowing of your skin or the whites of your eyes, called jaundice, is a serious symptom that requires immediate medical attention. Changes in your stool, particularly if it becomes pale, greasy, greasy, or unusually foul-smelling can indicate pancreatic problems. New onset diabetes, especially if you're over 60 and have no family history, can sometimes be an early sign of pancreatic cancer. Loss of appetite or feeling full very quickly when eating can be another warning sign. If you experience any of these symptoms, please don't wait. Don't assume it's just aging or indigestion. See your doctor right away. Early detection makes all the difference. Beyond avoiding reheated foods, there are other ways you can protect your pancreas and reduce your cancer risk. Maintain a healthy weight. Obesity is one of the strongest risk factors for pancreatic cancer, particularly in people over 60. Don't smoke. If you currently smoke, quitting is one of the best things you can do for your pancreas. Smoking doubles your risk of pancreatic cancer. Limit alcohol consumption. Heavy drinking puts tremendous stress on your pancreas. Stay active. Regular physical activity, even just a daily walk, helps reduce inflammation throughout your body, including in your pancreas. Eat plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. The antioxidants and nutrients in fresh produce help protect your cells from damage. Stay hydrated. Drinking enough water helps your pancreas function properly and helps flush toxins from your system. Manage your blood sugar. High blood sugar puts extra stress on your pancreas. If you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, work with your doctor to keep it well controlled. And reduce stress. Chronic stress causes inflammation throughout your body. Find healthy ways to manage stress, whether through meditation, prayer, hobbies, or time with loved ones. Let me summarize what we've covered today because this information is too important to forget. We've talked about 5 common foods that become dangerous when reheated: rice, chicken, potatoes, mushrooms, and leafy greens like spinach. Rice can harbor heat-resistant bacterial toxins that cause pancreatic inflammation. Chicken develops harmful HCA compounds when reheated that damage your DNA. Potatoes create cancer-linked acrylamide and can harbor dangerous bacteria. Mushrooms develop deteriorated proteins and concentrated toxins that stress your pancreas. And spinach and leafy greens convert healthy nitrates into cancer-causing nitrosamines when reheated. The solution isn't to never eat these foods again. The solution is to eat them fresh, store them properly if you must save them, and avoid reheating them whenever possible. Remember, small changes make a big difference. Every time you choose to eat something fresh instead of reheated, you're making a choice that protects your pancreas and reduces your cancer risk. You have more control over your health than you might think. The power is literally in your hands, right there in your kitchen. I want to end with a story that brings us full circle. Remember Sarah, the grandmother I mentioned at the beginning? After her diagnosis, Sarah made these exact changes we've talked about today. She stopped reheating rice, chicken, potatoes, mushrooms, and leafy greens. She started cooking fresh, smaller portions. She also shared this information with her entire family. Her daughter changed how she meal prepped. Her son stopped reheating his lunch leftovers. Her grandchildren learned these safety rules in their own kitchens. Today, Sarah is cancer-free. She tells everyone who will listen about the dangers of reheating certain foods. She says that making these simple changes gave her a second chance at life. You deserve that same chance. Your loved ones deserve it too. The information I've shared with you today isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. Knowledge is power, and you now have the knowledge to make choices that protect your health. Your body has served you faithfully for 6, 7, 8 decades or more. Now it's time to serve your body by giving it the care and protection it deserves. If this video has been helpful to you, please do 3 things for me right now. First, subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon so you never miss important health information like this. Second, share this video with your family and friends. Post it to Facebook, send it in an email, or just tell people about it. You might literally save someone's life. And third, leave a comment below. Tell me which of these 5 foods surprised you most. Tell me if you've been reheating these foods and if you're going to make changes. Your comments help this video reach more people who need this information. Thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for caring about your health, and thank you for taking the time to learn how to protect yourself. Until next time, stay healthy, stay informed, and remember, your best days are still ahead of you.